Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Outside the Gridiron. I'm your host, Brett. With me, as always, is Max. How are we doing today?
Doing good. Been a good day.
Good.
It's a little chilly here in Kansas, but we're still
What's
doing
chilly
good.
for Kansas?
Well, this morning was like 25.
Okay, you're right with us then. We were 22 this morning, I think. Not
Yeah, a
fun.
little brisk, a little too brisk
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, I didn't plan on using the remote start or getting up and starting cars yet before going off to get the kids to daycare or go to work or anything like that. But it's not even Halloween yet. Come on now. Give us a little bit of a break.
Ridiculous. I know.
No, but other than that, things are going good. It's Wednesday. Got the game tomorrow. Might preview that tomorrow sometime, and kind of go from there. But today we're gonna be doing a little tier list of NFL head coaches. We're at kind of we're over the um, we're like about third way through the season, where you kind of get an idea of how these teams are coached and how these teams are performing. So we're just gonna make a nice little list here. And kind of base it off that.
Yeah,
And we'll get
specifically the rookie head coaches
yeah,
and the first year coaches.
sure.
The Reeds and the Belichicks. We already know kind of where they all belong,
Exactly.
but we're
Yes,
getting a kind of a good idea of the first year coaches.
exactly. All right, I'm gonna add this to the stream here real quick. Yeah, so I think we got is it how many rookie head coaches are
There are
there?
10. That's a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's the most I can remember in
yeah.
like my time of really watching football.
That is crazy. That's like a third of the league. I mean, that's insane.
All right, Brett, start
Yeah.
off. Not a rookie head coach, but first year with this team, Jacksonville Jaguars and Doug Peterson. What are you thinking so far?
Well, they're 2-4 now, I think, right? They've lost three in a row.
Mm-hmm.
They started out the year 2-1. You could see Trevor Lawrence was starting to make some strides. Doug Peterson's really good with quarterbacks and everything like that. But they're kind of getting back to their Jacksonville Jaguar type of play.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, because I have seen some strides, and it's only through the first 6 weeks. I mean, this roster is not much different than last year, and they've only won a few games last year. I'll I'll give them a B for now. I was really leaning towards C. I mean, I'd probably give them a C plus, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt right now. I'll give them a B just because they did start out the year pretty well. They're kind of on a losing streak right now, but I think with the potential with this team and Trevor Lawrence, once he kind of shapes it the way he wants, I think they're going to be a contender at least in the division a little bit. What's your kind of thought on that, Max?
I agree. I'd give him a C, but he has won a Super Bowl, so the benefit of the doubt, I would say, bumps him up to a B there. All right, next up on the list, New Orleans Saints. How you feeling about them, Brett?
Yeah, Dennis Allen. He's kind of been dealt a bad hand with Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton. Jameis pretty much got injured right away. Andy Dalton has stepped in. He's done fine. I mean, he's a he's a mid-level quarterback. Not going to win you games. Probably not going to lose you many games. But their defense, I feel, has underperformed a little bit. They got a lot of good players over there. Um, and Dennis Allen is a defensive guy, so I think I expected more out of the defense. Um, they gave up 30 to Cincinnati last week. When they played the Vikings, I think they gave up 28. So they're giving up a little bit more points than I expected, and they're sitting at 2-4. I'm going to give Dennis Allen a C for now. I know the players like him. Um, I just feel like he maybe fits just the coordinator position a little bit better than a head coach. I don't know if that's just me or what, but that's kind of what I feel right now.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I mean, considering he's been a defensive coordinator for the Saints for years, you would think
Yeah.
that that defense would at least be able to be similar, but they got some guys aging, I guess.
Yep.
But other than that, really just yeah, I mean they were kind of in cap space trouble, and he's kind of got to claw his way out of that. But yeah,
Sure.
I agree. I would lean probably like C minus ish, but
Sure.
give him a letter grade of a C.
Yep.
All right, next up, let us go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Todd Bowles. Basically just elevated an assistant from assistant. How do you think about he's doing so far?
Well, the Bucks are 3-3. Um, his defense has played pretty decent, except for I don't know. They didn't play. There was a couple series versus Pittsburgh where they just kind of got tore up. To be honest with you, by Mitch Trubisky, which is not good. But the whole Tom Brady situation is weird right now with his personal life and everything like that. You can kind of just feel there's a cloud over the team right now more than anything, and especially over
Mhm.
Tom Brady, which it's not really a head coach's problem, but I don't know. I expected more than 3-3 through 6 weeks. So I'm gonna have to give them a C, to be honest with you, for now.
Yeah, their defense has gotten. I mean, they have a super talented defense, but I've been a little bit disappointed. They don't have any of like any wow players on defense really. And
Yep,
Todd Bowles, I don't know. I think I think he's got a little bit of work to do. I agree with you on the C tier on
perfect.
that one. So moving on, we'll do the last head coach who previously had a head coaching job. We'll do the Las Vegas Raiders and Josh McDaniels. What are you giving this one so far? The Raiders are 1-4, and then they're coming out of their bye week right now.
Yeah, not good. 1-4 with Derek Carr at the helm. Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs. They got weapons on offense. Um, I think Calais Campbell's on the Raiders now too, isn't he? Is that right?
Ravens.
Ravens, that's right.
Ravens.
Um, the 1-4 is not good. I mean, with Josh McDaniels coming in, they made the playoffs last year. You'd think that this offense would be humming a little bit more than they are. I don't really want to give out an F. I'm going to give them a D for now. Um, I just feel like they have a lot of room to improve, and I think they will get things on track, but it's kind of not where they should be right now more than anything.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do think the Raiders are one of those. They're one of the only 1-4 teams that I think like they could kind of turn it around a little bit,
Yeah.
just with the star power that they have.
Yep.
But Josh McDaniels less than ideal start for the Raiders, and that whole AFC West kind of has just been a
Yeah,
little bit of a disappointment.
for sure.
All right, moving on to the next one. We'll go with Houston Texans, Lovie Smith. Another, I guess, players coach. I think a lot of
Yep.
people really like him, but how you feeling about his start so far?
It's the Texans. I mean, they just don't have the talent right now to I mean, they're competing. They're competing really hard. They've been in a lot of ball games,
Mhm.
to be honest with you. Um, it's hard to give this anything higher than a C just because of the talent. But I'm actually gonna go a C. They won last week. He's doing the best he can, to be honest with you. Um, it's just really hard to grade it because they just don't have a lot of talent right now. And I think they're probably not going to give him a couple years to figure this out. I feel like he's might be like a stopgap. Like he's going to be
Oh
here
wow.
for a year or two. Um, so I'm just going to give him a C for now because I think he's done a decent job with what he's got.
Yeah, and the Texans just fired Jack Easterby, and kind of like everyone's calling it like the purge of the Texans front office and kind of
Right.
what's been a little bit of dysfunction there. So we'll
Right.
see if Lovie Smith gets another chance, especially another year, and go get Bryce Young in the drafter. Go get a
Right.
star quarterback.
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. Let's do Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
I liked him. I actually liked the hire, unlike a lot of people, because he did have the Colts defense playing really well. Um, he's another kind of players coach, great leader. Um, I just thought it was a weird hire, to be honest with you, for that situation with Justin Fields there. I know Chicago's always, defense, cold weather. That's kind of what they've, historically have been like. But I just feel like they're setting up Justin Fields to fail right now. And I don't know if that's the head coach's fault more than just the front office's fault, to be honest with you. Um, but he's done okay. Um, they do have 2 wins. They beat San Francisco week 1 in that like hurricane of weather in Chicago, and then they competed against the Vikings, which everyone has this year so far. And then yeah, I mean they got more wins than I expected they would, and that's only 2 wins. But I'm actually gonna put him at a B right now, to be honest with you.
I'm
Um,
glad you said that.
yeah,
Yeah, I think he's been better than I thought. I was actually the opposite. I kind of made fun of him because it's the Bears and
yeah,
they hired I don't know, a defensive coordinator from the Colts, but I kind of like the way their defense is playing. Like they're
yeah,
pretty stingy. I can tell that the Colts really miss him as the defensive coordinator.
Yep.
Because I think the Bears are actually playing a lot better than I expected, and the Colts defense is playing a lot worse than I expected.
Exactly.
And so I like the way that he's got him playing. Justin Fields in the offense, he's going to have to figure out, along with GM Ryan Poles. I think they're going to be able to start helping Fields out, surrounding him with more weapons, hopefully.
Yep.
Because Fields, I mean, he's played probably his best 2 games
For sure.
passing wise, probably the last 2 weeks against the Commanders and the Vikings. So
For sure.
we'll see who keep it up. But I'm glad you said B, because I
Yeah.
thought he's done a little bit better than I was expecting him
Yeah,
to.
for sure. And they do have a bunch of cap space headed into next offseason. So I feel like if they fill out the offense a little bit with some talent and then add to that defense, I feel like I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs or anything next year, but I feel like they could kind of be a team if Justin Fields continues to take that next step.
Mhm.
Maybe next year that they could, get towards 500 maybe or something like that. So, yeah, I think he's done a pretty decent job so far.
It's a long rebuild for the Chicago Bears, but
Yep.
I think they knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
All right. Should we do the hometown team?
I think we should.
All righty. Kevin O'Connell, what are your thoughts on how he's done so far?
I am a huge Kevin O'Connell stan, like huge.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty biased and everything like that, but like, right after Mike Zimmer was fired and they kind of had a pool of like 6, 7, or 8 names, Kevin O'Connell is always at the top of my list. And number one reason he's come from that Sean McVay tree, and I'm a huge fan of Sean McVay too. And Kevin O'Connell is just so smart. He's got that energetic leadership. It's very contagious. I mean, he's like the complete opposite of Mike Zimmer, and I think Mike Zimmer was a damn good football coach. He just kind of wore out his welcome a little bit, 8 years into it. It was time for a change. And I think the Wilfs made a great hire, landing Kevin O'Connell. And he's been everything that I expected. I feel like our offense should be a little bit more explosive. I think we're like 14th in scoring, 19th in total yards on offense.
Mhm.
So, and I know it's only 6 games through, and they got some time to get that figured out. But I did expect our offense to be a little bit more explosive. But I'm going to give him an A, to be honest with you. And I don't know if that is biased, but you're 5-1 through 6 games, your first 6 games as a head coach. You can't ask for a much better start than that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm on the Kevin O'Connell train. I think like play calling, I'd probably give him a B. I think there's still struggles, but
Yep.
overall, the players are bought in. I mean, they continually talk about how nice it is and how refreshing he is.
Yep.
And also, like, there are certain things, like the Vikings defense gives up a lot of yards, but they haven't given up a ton of points.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like the direction that O'Connell has gone so far. I think the team will get better with just
sure.
Kwesi. I like the GM there too.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, great. You really can't complain about a 5-1 start, even if the competition has been bad. You got to play who's on your schedule.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think a lot of people complain about the defense, and a lot of fingers are being pointed towards Ed Donatel, but they're playing bend don't break football, which is they play that shell defense, and that's kind of what it is, bend don't break, and it's really good for end of games, end of halves situations. But they haven't been giving up a lot of points, and they've been turning the other team over quite a bit, which I think is a recipe for a good recipe for a good offense and opportunistic defense. I think that meshes really well. So
Yeah, definitely. All righty. Next one. Let's do Nathaniel Hackett and the Denver Broncos. I want to hear your thoughts on how this one's going so far.
the most penalized team in the NFL through 6 weeks, and that's like solely based on coaching. I think just coaching these guys up, teaching them the right techniques, getting them in good situations. They're in a bunch of 3rd and longs. I don't want to give him an F, but I have to give him an F. I'm sorry. I mean, he's got Russell Wilson, and I think Russell Wilson deserves some blame too, because he's missed some wide open guys. He's missed some throws, but the most penalized team in the NFL, the worst red zone team in the NFL, that's not a recipe for winning. And I just think it's been a total disaster, to be honest with you. The defense has been good, which I think is more just from the talent they have on that side of the football. But other than that, there's not a lot of bright spots to look at so far.
Yeah, I mean, I like to give him the benefit of the doubt because I do think there are times where receivers are open and Russ is just missing them, and there's not much Hackett can do about that. But like you said, like most penalized team in the NFL, offense, I don't even know if has scored above 24 points in a game yet this year. I mean, I think there are too many too many variables that I think Hackett has kind of missed along the
Right.
way, and their season certainly isn't done. He could change our mind, but I mean, it has been rough in Denver. I have a roommate who's a Broncos fan, and his he's had a little bit of like a downward slope basically just since the season started.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I wonder what it'd been like if the Vikings had hired Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, I think he was our first interview, to be honest with you.
He might have been.
Yeah, and I don't know.
Would have been wild.
It would have been.
Next up, let's do Mike McDaniel, Miami Dolphins. What are your thoughts on how Mike's doing so far?
Off to an amazing start. The first 3 games of the year, Tua was playing his best football, and now he got injured and all that. We're not going to get into the medical stuff or all the concussions and all that protocol type of stuff, but they were playing their best football. They beat Buffalo. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle look like the most explosive wide receiver duo in the league. Those guys are just so fast, so dynamic, and Mike McDaniel seems to be putting them in great spots to do what they do best and get down the field and everything like that. Just get the guys the football. I'm gonna give them. If there's a B plus on here, I'd give them a B plus, but I'm gonna keep them at a B for now. Like the Vikings game, like the first half was like just a penalty mess for them. There's penalties everywhere. I think they had 5 penalties on one drive alone. Otherwise, it'd have been a touchdown drive, and I think they ended up punting on that drive. I'm gonna give them a B plus for now because I think there is room for improvement there. But I'll just lean towards the B tier right now.
Cool. I think I would give him an A.
Okay.
I love the way his defense has been playing, especially he's gotten really good matchups in games.
For sure.
Certainly they've been gashed. Lamar Jackson is kind of, at times unguardable.
Yep.
They even play Josh Allen. They beat the Bills, but I really like how he's game planned, and he's just had, tough injury luck with quarterbacks. He hasn't had a starting quarterback in basically in the 3 games that they lost. So I'm hesitant to say he's the best hire, but he has been, I think, really, really good this year. I think the Dolphins are in a good spot. I love how much he doesn't like. I was expecting just because he came from the 49ers that they'd have this crazy good run game, but his passing, the passing game is probably the best in the NFL, and they've done a pretty good job. He's done a good job over there. So credit to Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, I think he's the perfect hire for what the personnel that they have, like Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Like, I think he's the perfect hire for getting the best out of those guys, getting those guys the football. And Tua obviously was looking like a top 5 quarterback the first 3 weeks, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
He was ripping up defenses. So, yeah, it probably should win in an A, but I'm going to stick with B for now. You got an A. Either way, he's done a great job.
He's been great.
Yep.
All right. I think this one's the obvious one. Probably save the best for last. Brian Daboll. Yep. Can we just put him in a tier above A? We don't have it on here, but
yeah,
I think that's pretty clear, right?
Yeah. I'm actually going to go D. No, just kidding. No, just kidding. He's done great. He's done great with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones looked like he didn't even belong in the NFL the last couple of seasons, to be honest with you. But he's looked like a capable quarterback. He's not setting the world on fire or anything like that. But he's played smart football, has made some big time throws when he's needed to. And I think the main reason is Brian Daboll putting him in comfortable situations. That's what they brought him over for with the Buffalo Bills, to see if Daniel Jones would be the answer. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is the answer through 6 games, but there's a way clearer picture than there was at the beginning of the year that maybe this guy can lead our team, especially with Saquon Barkley running the way he has. They beat the Ravens this last week. Not many people picked them to beat the Ravens, and
Mm-hmm.
they got the job done. He's done a great job, 5-1. We were just talking about this yesterday, I think. When's the last time a New York football team has, and even the Jets, but the Giants, they haven't been this good since, Eli Manning and everything like that. So, yeah,
Years
he's
ago,
done a
yeah.
tremendous job.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was my favorite hire this year anyway.
Yep.
With what he did with Josh Allen in Buffalo was awesome, but he was also on the defensive side of the ball too.
Sure.
And that Giants defense is playing so
Yeah, they
well.
are.
It's weird because I don't think their secondary was that good, but they're playing really well. Their D line is fantastic, and Daniel Jones he's played pretty well. It's one of those where like stats don't really show it, but he's been
Sure.
pretty good. I mean, he hasn't really been turning the ball over as much anymore. And
Yep.
Saquon, been awesome to see him healthy again and doing what he's doing. But yeah, Brian Dabble, I mean, what an amazing hire for
Yeah.
the New York Football Giants.
They actually made the right hire for once.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Joe Judge, and then they got Pat Shurmur from us,
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago, I think after the 2017 season, and they're just one or 2 years, stands there, and it just
Mm-hmm.
hasn't worked out for him. But I feel like Brian Daboll is going to be there for a long time, especially if he keeps this up. So
Yeah, I mean, he's done great, off to a really good start. I think the Giants, I would almost say Giants, Vikings, and Dolphins are like guaranteed playoff spots.
yep,
Um, you feel safe saying the Bucks, but you never really know how that's gonna play out with Tom Brady there. And
yeah,
it seems like a little bit of drama is brewing in his final season in the NFL, which is kind of wild a little bit.
it was, and it's kind of all brought upon himself, to be honest with you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he was retired, everything was fine. I mean, what he's got 7 Super Bowls. Like, what more do you? I get it. You think you can still play at a high level, but I mean, to risk your marriage, and I don't know, it's just an interesting situation to me. Yeah,
It is wild, and there's a lot of people have different perceptions about the Bucks too.
yeah,
Now, and it's wild. I don't know if you can ruin his legacy, obviously, but
right.
he's trying.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's adding something to it, that's for sure,
Mm-hmm.
that didn't need to be added to it, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's our tier. The only thing we really disagreed on was the Dolphins A, and I had them in a B, and I think those could be interchangeable, to be honest with you.
Yeah. An A or B
Um,
isn't too big of a deal.
right.
I feel like this
I
is a good consensus. I mean,
Yeah.
I think Saints, Bucks, a little too early to tell. Lovey
Mhm.
kind of just is kind of. I agree with you. I think he's kind of getting dealt bad, like a bad hand.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the long term plan there. And then
Right.
some good surprises. I didn't expect to put Matt Eberflus in the B tier.
Right. Neither did I, to be honest with you. But he's done a good job for what he's had. His defense has looked good. And they don't have a ton. I mean, they got like Roquan Smith and Eddie Jackson. They got some good guys on there, but it's not like they're loaded with talent. But they're playing really
Mhm.
well on that side of the football. But yeah, it looks like about half of the new coaches are doing really well. Then the other half are doing decently well, or in Nathaniel Hackett's case, could do a lot better.
I feel bad. I feel bad putting someone in the F tier, but I don't know. The product on the field, it speaks for itself.
It has not been good, and I think.
Hmm.
Do they have like 3 or how many more someone said they have like 7
They
primetime
had
games total
7
or
this
something.
year.
That is nuts.
I know.
The NFL even expected them to be a lot
Yeah,
better than what
right.
they've shown.
I know NFL typically gets, for the most part, they get those primetime games like pretty right and accurate. But
Yeah,
once they can start flexing those games, I think they're going to be the first team that they start moving around.
for sure. All right, man. You got anything else on this at all?
No, I'm excited for another good week of football. These coaches are really interesting to see how I don't know how the rest of the season will go.
Yep,
I think players are definitely bought in a lot more than I guess I would have expected in the first 5-6 weeks of a season.
for sure, for sure. And I guess while we're here talking about coaches, um, do you think any of them are on the hot seat? It doesn't have to be the first year head coaches, but like any coaches in general are on the hot seat at all, or not really?
Well, so Matt Rule's gone.
Yeah,
That was
that was the
good.
main one. Yeah,
I think Frank Reich could be. They're starting to win more games though.
sure.
But man, Cliff Kingsbury needs to go. I mean, I think Kyler Murray's a good quarterback. I think they have some okay pieces. I honestly think it starts at the top with Steve Keim and the GM there.
Yeah.
But man, Cliff Kingsbury what he does passing the ball is so uninspired considering it's an air raid system. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be passing the ball.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you could tell like in previous seasons, like they were pretty high powered, especially like the first 8 games last year. But so far this year, it's just been a dumpster fire. And I don't know if DeAndre Hopkins coming back is going to help out anything either. But then Hollywood Brown got injured, Robbie Anderson got brought in. Can they start getting on track? It'll be interesting to watch. But I think if they keep this up, Cliff Kingsbury could be the next guy to go. To be honest with you.
Yeah, they play Thursday night. That's tomorrow night. I guess against the Saints. We'll preview that one for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it'll be a fun one to watch. The only other one I was thinking maybe I should mention is Dan Campbell. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, it's a similar thing. I think players love him, but at what point does that need to start transferring over to getting some wins?
Yeah, I mean, 1-4, they had the hard knocks and everything like that. So they're kind of like America's sweetheart right away. And they had a really good first week. And then, or no, did they lose week 1? They might have lost.
They lost week 1 in a close game, and then week 2, like they lost against the Eagles, and then they smoked the Commanders that next week.
That's right. So they were playing some pretty good football the first 2 weeks, and then ever since that, they've kind of been going downhill. But yeah, you got to put a solid product on the field. Dan Campbell's a likable guy. The players love him, but if they win 4 or 5 games again this year, I don't know if they'll fire him mid-season, but they might have to make a change after the year.
Yeah, that's a good one. I guess that's not one I really think about.
Sure. Yeah, you even mentioned Kevin Stefanski a couple days ago. Yeah, which is kind of interesting as well.
They're getting blown out now by a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
technically a third string. He's the backup now. He's earned it. Bailey Zappi.
They made Bailey Zappi look like Tom Brady was back in New England. To be honest with you,
they did.
It's pretty rough. I think they will want to see him with Deshaun Watson. But if it doesn't work out after this year, if they don't perform, who knows?
I know.
We've seen weirder things happen. So, but those are probably the main ones that we've been focusing on. So, other than that, Max, you got anything to add to the episode?
No, I think it was fun looking at some of the rookie coaches. Not even, I guess not all of them are first year coaches, but just first year on this team. I think it's been kind of fun looking at how they're all doing and how our predictions were either wrong or right at the beginning.
Yeah, it'll be fun to look back maybe like towards the end of the season or maybe another 6 weeks or so, and those rankings could change. I mean, teams could get on a roll, teams could go on a losing streak. So it'll be interesting to see towards the end of the year.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right. Sounds good. I'm Brett. That's Max. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys in the next one.